But look, joining us now for this debate is solicitor Nick Freeman, who's on the line. Nick, thanks for giving us your time.
Good afternoon, Alexis.
Nick, you watched the King's speech. I'm going to ask you the same that I've just asked Tessa and Esther. Do you think that this can win back Tory voters?
Put me down on the other side. Yes, please.
Yes, OK. So we've got a yes
Absolutely.
vote. We've got one here. Go on. What was it, do you think, Nick, that is going to win them back?
Well, it was a very comprehensive speech, as one would expect. I'm not saying he will win, but is it possible? Absolutely. The first thing is, does Sunak have credibility? Compared with some of the previous leaders of the Tory party, I think he does. The electorate's got to decide, is this just rhetoric or are things going to improve? We're in a cost of living crisis at the moment. He said very clearly in that speech that inflation is going to come down. So he will be judged in a very limited time framework on his actions. And I think if the electorate starts to see improvement very quickly, and they've got a compressed period of time, I think we're probably going to have an election within the next 12 months. If they start to think that things are improving, then there is a possibility that he will get back, the Tories will be re-elected, particularly when one has regard to the Labour government, the shadow government, because we don't really know what they stand for. There's a lot of cloak and veil stuff going on. What does Starmer really stand for? What are his policies? He keeps them very close to his chest. At least with the Tories, these are clearly mapped out. And I think if the voters trust him, and he does have that potential for trust, it's a Herculean task, I grant you that, but he's covered all sorts of things. I mean, there are things that will immediately resonate with the electorate. For example, banning on smoking for youngsters under the age of 14. It's a no-brainer. That's going to make people think, well, this is a guy who's doing something. He's going to make it happen. The country will benefit. I think he will improve the economy. He's a man who's had his own business. Yes, he is a wealthy man, but he does understand finance.
Yes, he is a wealthy man, yay.
Is it too little, too late? 48 Conservative MPs have already said they're standing down at the next election. Where are his foot soldiers?
Well, we have to wait and see. Ultimately, there's going to be a general election, and it's all up for grabs.
All right.
So I don't know.
Let me pause you all there.
It boils down to trust.
OK, let me pause you there because people want to have their say as well. They want to get on this chart here. Andrew in Aberdeenshire. Andrew, welcome to the show. Where would you go? Do you think the King's speech has brought Conservative votes back to the Tories?
No. After the recent things that have been said at the COVID inquiry and all the whole Partygate thing, these people should never, ever be allowed to run a country again.
Yep, we can agree with that.
They've wrecked the NHS. My wife died in March.
I'm sorry to hear that, Andrew.
I called an ambulance out 3 times. I was told a doctor would come to the house. Nobody came to the house. She was taken into hospital. She was 2 weeks in ICU and she died. They've ruined the NHS. They've ruined the country and they're trying everything now to win votes back. And Rishi Sunak, that man was saying he's got the potential for trust. He was there during the whole Partygate thing, the whole COVID thing. He knew it was going on. He's irredeemable, this man. He should never be in politics again, none of them.
I want to ask
Andrew.
Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm only moving on because I want to get as many calls in as we can. And my condolences to you and thank you for getting in touch with the show. I suppose it is going to be, we've had now, how many? I've lost count, but we've had successive Conservative prime ministers trying to disassociate themselves from the governments that they were part of. We had Liz Truss did the same. I was part of this government, but I'm going to do things differently. Rishi Sunak was big part of the government, Chancellor, saying I'm going to do things differently. Can those work?
But what was interesting about Andrew's call, of course, he's in Scotland, where the NHS is overseen by the SNP, who have the exact same problem. Can Humza Yousaf separate himself from Nicola Sturgeon and that now?
And we also have to remember the Labour Party. Every political party is a broad church. No Conservative Conservative looks the same. And the same with the Labour Party. Look at Keir Starmer and the revolt he's facing over the sort of Israel-Palestine issue. We can't say that this is not going to be something that they're going to face within themselves. There are many factions within political parties.
All right, let's see if we can get someone to agree with Nick, who's patiently waiting there for some support. Christine in East Sussex. Christine, where are you going to put your cross? And the yes or the no?
Yes, please.
The yes.
What?
Nick, you've got company. OK, so why do you think that this King's speech will have done well for the Conservatives and Rishi Sunak?
Because he made it very concise, and his thoughts on wanting to actually move our country forward into something better than it is now.
OK, and Christine, how do you answer Esther's concern, which is Rishi Sunak was Chancellor, part of the Boris Johnson administration. Why do you believe, and the Conservatives have been in power for 13 years, why do you believe that he is going to change everything when there hasn't been much change in 13 years?
He's been given a second chance to make a better deal.
OK, a second chance to get a better deal. OK, Christine, thank you for that. Let's move on to another one. Azam in London. Azam, welcome to the show. Where are you going to put your cross? We're 3-2, we are. Where do you want to put it? Yes or no?
No.
No.
Okay.
I guessed it.
Why? OK, Azam, why not? Why do you think the King's speech is not going to be enough for the Conservatives?
Because the Tories have already done lots and lots of harm in relation to the Gaza and the Hamas conflict. And those sort of people that sort of resign, and there'll be more to come.
Right.
I feel that the Muslims and the Christians and people who are totally against the war are very upset towards the heavy-handed actions by the Netanyahu government, and it amounts to genocide. So people are now concerned about how long. He has destroyed the hospital because he's probably found through the technology that there is a Hamas guy, soldier.
OK, Azam, I'm going to leave it there. The line was a little bit unclear. I had a little bit of trouble hearing you. But Nick, the conflict in Israel and Gaza at the moment, is that going to... I mean, it was addressed in the King's speech, offering support, also announcements of a Holocaust memorial as well. Is this something... Is this something that Rishi Sunak feels is very important for himself and his government?
Of course it's very important. It's very important for any government because the potential, if it's not handled correctly, could affect us all or will affect us all. So it needs to be handled with credibility, delicately. We need to get the right situation. Nobody wants war with any country. No one wants the loss of innocent people. But of course, the actions of Hamas, and I don't want to get into a political debate here, on the 7th of October was a declaration of war. Yeah. And Israel has a duty to make sure that this can't happen again. Okay. Israel doesn't want war with anybody, but at the moment...
Okay, I think the Tories... Hold on. I think the issue is the Tories have to be careful with alienating moderate voices in the Conservative Party mainly. So we've seen Baroness Sayyidabazi, who is a Conservative, who has actually taken issue with the words of the Home Secretary in how she's addressed particularly Palestinian protesters, because there are many reasonable moderate people that actually do believe in this, who take a pro-Israeli stance, but believe that actually the best way to help the Israelis is to ameliorate the circumstances of the Palestinians. Okay. Now, the issue that the Tories have is not actually alienating those sensible moderate voices within the Conservative Party.
It's a much harder bag, the Israeli-Hamas war, for the Labour Party.
Okay.
Oh, yes, of course.
I want to get back to what people are saying at home. Let's take a couple of more calls. Christopher in Kidderminster. Christopher, welcome to the show. Where would you like to put your cross? On the yes or the no column? On the where?
On the no side.
On the no.
I had him down as a yes.
OK. I don't know. They're playing some sort of bingo yes-no game over here. I don't know what's going on. Christopher, why? Why are you unconvinced by what you heard on the King's speech?
Well, none of them convinced me very much because all they do is titivate around the edges, trying to garner in a few extra voters here and a few extra voters there. The whole system needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. We need to have proportional representation, and somebody has to have the gumption to sort out the House of Lords. It's a farce.
Oh, yeah, we can agree there.
Second biggest chamber in the world after the People's Republic of China.
Looks pretty, though.
Unelected. Unelected.
Exploded. Second chamber, second biggest second chamber.
Unelected chamber.
Looks really pretty, though, on camera. Does that work?
Well, the ermine. By the way, a lot of them wear nylon now. They don't actually wear real ermine.
OK. Christopher, thank you. Very good points, because we've got time for one more. Anne in Hertfordshire. Anne, welcome to the show. Where would you like to put your cross? Can Tories win back voters, yes or no, with the King's speech?
No.
No. Oh, I've run out of space.
I reckon
No, you haven't.
Why not, Anne?
The Tories have brought the country to its knees, and I'm ashamed to be British at the moment because we're paying so much taxes. The NHS is on its knees, the country's on its knees, and we need someone to turn it around. The guy in the background, I think he could do a good job.
Nick.
Oh, you have a good
Nick can do a good job.
He needs to be our next Prime Minister.
Oh, all right. Well, that ended on an unexpected note. Thank you, Anne. And Nick Freeman, our next Prime Minister, all hail. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us as well, Nick. Look, final results. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 no's and 2 yeses. I think we can put that down as a slight loss for the government, but who knows? And also, we've got the